Matt, do you have any thoughts about what that Alex Grinch performance is going to need to look like this next season for him to hang on to a job? It's got to be some combination of how well the team does overall, even though he only has a third of a slice in that to a certain extent, but also national ranks in regards to all the various defensive metrics. Of course, he's got a hand in recruiting, both in the transfer portal and in high school. Just what are your thoughts about? And you're, of course, just taking a shot here, but especially at this point of the season, but of what Alex Grinch needs to accomplish this year.
Yeah. So if you followed our shows the past year here at the Voice of College Football, and you followed our off-season discussions last summer, one of the themes I pounded home was, if this defense is regularly giving up 30 per game, 30 points per game, and giving up 30, not in the sense of you give up 10 one week and then 50 the next, but consistently giving up not much more than 30 per game, that would be fine. And I think that analysis generally held up well, because USC won some games 45-37 over Arizona, 41-35 over Cal. Like that offense was able to hit 40 points or more pretty consistently. And part of why the Tulane game rankled so many people around USC, and rightly so, I would add, like that, the fan base was right to be furious about that game and how it went down, is that the offense barely made a mistake. Like Caleb Williams threw one pick, and then there was that weird safety, basically just two really bad plays the whole game. Everything else was brilliant. Converted 13 of 15 third downs, controlled the ball. Time of possession was, I think 38 to 22, if I remember correctly, something in that range. And it still didn't hold up, and you still couldn't maintain a 15-point lead in the final 4.5 minutes. Like, that should never, ever, ever happen. And, the fact that it was Tulane as opposed to, let's say, Michigan or Ohio State, that added to the bad optics. But, this could be the Kansas City Chiefs. You shouldn't have that kind of implosion the way USC's defense had. And so that's really the thing. So in 2023, I would maintain that if USC is giving up 30 points per game consistently, like you're not giving up 40, you're not giving up 45, you can regularly give up not much more than 30, let's say 35 tops, and you can just hit that benchmark consistently, this offense is so loaded, it's going to be getting to 40 points again on a regular basis. As long as Caleb Williams and the offensive line are healthy and they're upright, like USC's going to score at least 38, 40, 41, 42, 45 points per game. So in many ways, the challenge for Alex Grinch is just don't have an effing Tulane game again. Don't have a game where the offense does 98% of everything right and still loses. Don't have that. All right. If the offense has a game where it stumbles, leaves 17, 20 points on the field, and you get into a 38-35 game that doesn't go your way, kind of like what happened to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, all right, you live with that because the offense didn't make its share of plays. But, that Utah game, the 43-42 loss in Salt Lake City, and then the Tulane game as well, the offense just did so many things right, made so few mistakes. You're not going to play a perfect game pretty much any time. If the offense is close to perfect, that has to translate into a win. So it's less about the actual numbers. It's more about if the offense, grades out at a very high level and you still lose, you cannot have that. That's what you cannot have. So it's in many ways, it's the way games go. Obviously wins and losses are a certain bottom line metric, but really, you're going to see some great offenses going up against USC. You're going to see Michael Penix in Washington under Kalen DeBoer coming back, and they've retained a lot of talent. Oregon has retained a lot of its offensive talent as well. You're going to have some shootouts, but it's going to be that nuance of if USC's offense does just about everything right and loses, you're out of here, Alex. That's really the benchmark. It's less about specific numbers. It's more about just do we waste Caleb Williams' final season at USC, or do we make good use of it. Because like if Caleb Williams plays at the same level he did last year and USC's results drop, then that would be a waste of a season, and really you can't squander Caleb Williams' second year at USC, and we'll all know what it looks like. Like we'll be able to get to the end of the 2023 season and make a pretty clear judgment, I would think, that was this season wasted for Caleb Williams? Was it used well? It doesn't necessarily mean that USC has to get to the playoff, because if you've been following our show here at the Voice of College Football, this schedule is nasty. The schedule layout is not conducive to easy breezy. If USC goes 10-2, gets to the Pac-12 title game, wins that, it could miss the playoff, but win the Pac-12 championship, and it would be a really good year against this schedule in year 2 with the defensive line still not fully developed. Like, that could be a really good year. We'll see how it goes, obviously, when we get into the season. But so this isn't an automatic playoff or bust. That's the automatic expectation. No, we need to see how the season develops. We need to see how games develop to measure whether Caleb Williams' talents are being squandered or not, whether the offensive performances are being wasted or not. That is really the finer point to make about what is being expected of Alex Grinch this coming year.
14 games in 2022. Of course, the defense came through one time. That was in Corvallis and bailed out the offense. Otherwise, the offense won every game, and the defense did not get in the way most of the time. But of course, the Tulane game was just and the defense made turnovers against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They also gave up a ton of yardage and got shredded most of that game, but they made the big plays in turning the ball over. Dorian Thompson certainly threw the ball to them and helped it out quite a bit.